It's the place where land and sea collide, sometimes peacefully, at other times with the most extreme ferocity conjured by nature.
We all love going to beaches. It's that warm sand, it's the summer-like temperatures, it's the water, but they also pose a hazard.
Beaches can be a very dangerous place, and if you're not familiar with them, they can actually be very deadly.
The powerful wind and waves that make beaches so deadly also help create them. According to beach expert Dr. Mike Kozik, the secret to their formation is concealed in every grain of sand.
So what is beach sand made of? You can see that there's all kinds of sand grain sizes and shapes, and a lot of it is made of the debris from erosion in the rivers.
Some beach sand begins as rock thousands of miles inland and travels along streams and rivers like a long-distance conveyor belt, slowly breaking down into smaller pieces as they go. It's a process that can take hundreds of millions of years. Beaches composed of eroded rock are known as geologic beaches. But some beaches are packed with something else.
You might also see some organic material, such as shells and bone fragments, and anything that is coming from the ocean.
White sand coastlines made from organic materials, like many of those in the Caribbean and Hawaii, are called biologic beaches. But these pristine places hold a dirty little secret. This remarkably ravenous creature is called the parrotfish. Some of them are among the most massive reef fish in the world, growing up to 4 feet long and weighing 100 pounds. They get their name from a beak-like jaw lined with around 1,000 extremely hard teeth.
A parrotfish is known to nibble on coral, and they have specially designed teeth to do so.
What they're actually after is algae, and their voracious eating helps to keep coral reefs from being smothered. But as part of the feast, they also ingest bits of the calcium carbonate that makes up dead coral skeletons. It can't be digested, so it has to go somewhere.
They excrete the calcium carbonate, and this comes out as white sand as we know it. It's thought that in 1 year, a parrotfish can produce 2,000 pounds of this white sand. And so beaches are known to be covered in this white sand generated from parrotfish poop, essentially.
Wherever the ocean meets the shore, the beaches of Earth astonish us with their many wonders. 25 miles from Cape Town, South Africa, within the protected waters of False Bay, sits Boulders Beach. Locals have given over this sun-kissed stretch of sand to a precocious colony of African penguins.
The African penguin is the only penguin species on the African continent. It only lives in Namibia and South Africa. It's about knee high, and it feeds predominantly on sardine and anchovies.
Unlike their cousins in frigid Antarctica, African penguins thrive in this warm subtropical climate. Weighing no more than 11 pounds and with a lifespan of 30 to 40 years, these penguins used to be known as jackass penguins.
The previous name of a jackass comes from their loud braying noise, pretty much like a donkey. So,
Between January and April of each year, the population of the colony swells as 1,000 breeding pairs arrive to make their nests here and at the nearby Stony Point Nature Reserve. All may look well with the colony, but the vibrant beach scene hides a secret.
Unfortunately, the species has seen a dramatic decline in population, and we now currently have a historic low number of about 10,000 breeding pairs in South Africa.
at their peak in South Africa, we had well over 1 million penguins. So these birds are facing huge problems, primarily due to prey depletion and changing habits of their prey.
For decades, penguins have had to compete with commercial fishermen for the sardines and anchovies that form their diet. Now, with climate change disrupting ocean temperatures, many of these fish are migrating east, away from the feeding grounds of Boulders Beach.
And unfortunately, the penguins haven't been able to keep up with this eastward shift. So unfortunately, the penguins haven't adapted to the changes in our ecosystem.
African penguins face other direct threats from a changing climate, extreme heat waves and severe winter storms. And both are on the rise in South Africa.
So that means that birds that often breed in the open are exposed to the sun and the heat during hot days, but they're also exposed to cold and rain and floods and those things during the winter months.
Extreme heat is the deadliest challenge. When penguins get too hot, their instinct is to go into the sea to cool off. But if they're guarding eggs or small chicks, they try to stay on the nest as long as possible.
However, if they really feel their own life is threatened, they will abandon the eggs and chicks and then cool down, so go to sea. For the chicks, it can actually be lethal. So we've seen chicks literally just falling over dead during extreme heat waves.
So how will the penguins of Boulders Beach survive? Sensors have been placed in nesting sites around the colony to study what sorts of habitats are best suited to a warming climate. They want to find out if it's better for the penguins to nest among the rocks, in the sand, or in nearby vegetation.
And we're hoping to understand what habitat management can be undertaken to improve the microclimate for these breeding birds so that we have less abandonment happening, especially during these heat days.
With data from the sensors, they hope to develop an early warning system for extreme heat events.
So we are looking at what temperatures do birds actually abandon or lose their chicks and eggs? What are the wind conditions when this happens, so that we can look at the weather forecast and basically warn the teams on the ground to move birds into the shade or rescue eggs before they actually get damaged to the heat.
The team on the ground includes rangers that patrol the protected beaches in search of birds that need their help.
You can see if a bird is underfed, you can see it from far because the bone structures will be like sticking out underneath. So that's when I go in and remove the bird from the colony.
Injured birds, abandoned eggs, and orphaned chicks are brought to SANCCOB, the South African Foundation for the Conservation of Coastal Birds. Here, they're given a second chance at life.
We rescue and rehabilitate penguins that wouldn't survive in the wild. The abandoned chicks are more than half of the penguins that we deal with. Some will be released by 3 to 4 months. We rescue those chicks and we hand raise them so that we can release them again into the wild.
Each year, SANCCOB rescues about 500 chicks and an equal number of adult penguins. Between 2006 and 2021, they successfully raised and released more than 7,000 chicks.
Once they're ready to go into the wild, our chicks hand-reared here have the same long-term survival rate as any chick that is born in the wild. So it looks like it is definitely a valuable intervention to bolster the population.
Scientists know the penguins of Boulders Beach are in a race against time, but they haven't given up hope.
In South Africa, penguins are not facing a very good future at all. There are, however, some remarkable people and organizations in South Africa that are really trying their very best to save what remains of this once abundant bird species.